Hey everyone, welcome back to our coverage of Fox's new reality show, The Snake, episode 5 recap. I am Jenny, as always, joined by my wonderful co-host, the great Chappell. How are you?
I'm good, Jenny. I'm good. I'm a little disappointed. Some things
Oh,
happened in this episode. We lost somebody, but other than that, I'm happy that the snake is finally back. You don't know how
yes.
many messages I get. People think the show just keeps going off the air because they keep taking weeks off.
Yeah, that is probably my biggest gripe about The Snake thus far is that, you're a new show, trying to make a name for yourself,
Mhm.
and it's confusing to people when you get a couple episodes, disappear, come back, disappear again. And
Mhm.
obviously there's been reasons for why there have been a couple weeks without episodes. I think, obviously like the 4th of July, even though the 4th of July was like the Friday, but I don't know,
Yeah.
holiday week. And then
Holiday
also
week.
last week we had the MLB All-Star game on the Tuesday night, so that bumped the snake out of its place for a week. But like it feels crazy because it's this show premiered like quite a while ago and we've only hit episode 5. But yes, people, we're back and we have no reason to believe that there will be any more interruptions in our beloved snake. And we've gotten to episode 5 here. And some big moves. Bro down. Not a
Yeah.
bro down, but a bro down.
Yeah. We lost one. Pour one out for our poker player,
Yeah.
Devonte, who we saw was playing very hard. I was very impressed, but also Jenny, due to the visibility spike,
Mm,
it just was a very Devonte like centric episode. I
yes.
started to kind of try to question it, like, well, maybe he's not going home because maybe there was just like a void for people to show up because like now pastor is gone, and so we got a little space to spread
Mm,
these confessionals out. But this was very much the story of how Devonte lost, and so I was
yes.
sad to see him go because at least he was playing hard.
Yeah, no, I loved Devonte, and I it was eventual. Like we knew at some point that one of the amigo, were they calling
The
themselves
bro
the
bro
three amigos,
brochacho
the
macho
bros, the
chachos
borchachos, who knows? They
macho
would take a
chachos.
hit eventually, either,
Mhm.
um but it sucks for it to be Devonte. I was really enjoying him. However, I will say, like, I'll give some credit to the edit, for at least spreading the wealth a little bit among the bros so that you could see a universe where it could be any of the three, just based on the amount of content they were getting in the episode. Because beyond it being like visibility for Devonte, we also, this is the most Brett we've gotten in
Absolutely.
however, all of the Brett content was very much about his like relationship with Derek being positive. So
Uh-huh.
while we were getting Brett content that could make it like make you think, oh, like maybe this is where he goes, like we're finally getting some stuff from him. It was hard to imagine that could be the case given how positive, he very much was like the friend of Derek, of the three bros, and he didn't really do anything to Derek. Let's get in front of that, because we see
Mhm.
Devonte go down here, ultimately symbolic for, not picking Derek,
Mhm.
in the two episodes
Two-headed snake.
previous. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the two-headed in yes, in the two-headed snake. Um when it was really supposed to be Brett that was gonna go. So it's
Mhm.
very interesting how it all kind of comes together here. But yeah, I don't know. I think that they presented enough that it could have been Jack. There, like, and in fact, I think that a lot of this episode, it seems like Jack was preparing for that to be the case.
Yeah, but we've been talking about this, and kind of where Devonte goes wrong is that it seemed like Devonte was in good with a lot of people in the house, but only the bros and Katherine were really locked in on, I will save Devonte no matter what. We
Yeah.
definitely thought that there was some space for Amanda to potentially do it. Like, he was playing hard. We saw him making these connections, but Jack has a much stronger connection with McClain. If McClain gets chosen, we've talked about this for 3 weeks now. If McClain gets chosen, Jack is getting chosen.
Mhm.
And there's no way that Jack was going to be left out as long as McClain was going to get chosen. Now, if it had ended up being Jack and Devonte in the final two, maybe McClain is left for last. She doesn't get to choose, and it comes down to the snake, Derek. Then maybe we lose Jack there, but it would take a very specific circumstance for us to get to that point. If Devonte is in the bottom two with anybody not named Jack, Devonte is going home, and it sucks because, like I said, he was fun, he was active, and he was willing to use a showmance as strategy, and we love that on reality TV,
Yes.
especially when it's both ways.
Oh, mutual, using of each other for game. I actually feel robbed that we're not going to get a furthering of this storyline, because I feel like it was kind of like teased in previous episodes, but we really didn't dive much into it until this episode. And I feel like I could have handled some more of this storyline. I love this. Their relationship was so weird. Can we talk about Devonte and Amanda here for a second? Because, okay, first of all, what a queen. What a freaking
Queen,
diva.
Queen, we
Um
Jenny, like we've been Amanda friends since day one. Okay, I just want to go
we
on
both
like
made her our winner pick.
yeah, we've been here.
Yes.
So to see her kind of like the show was presented it like Devonte was playing her, like, oh yeah, for game purposes, I need to go get closer to Amanda, but now I'm starting to like her a little bit. We start seeing the other side of that. And Amanda being like, yeah, but like I'm also using Devonte so that I can get in with the bros. We see the moments where it looking like they are getting closer. We even get a showmantic kiss on the lips. And then we get the confessional, Jenny. They're like takes her from like a reality TV star to a superstar.
Yes. I can't even believe it. Here's the thing. There was always something interesting about how Amanda moved with
Mm-hmm.
Devonte, because this is the first time that we actually hear from her about what her intentions are. We had kind of heard from Devonte being like, yeah, I'm kind of digging Amanda. She might just be going into the next room and kind of talking shit about me, but like she's cool and like this is good for me. Um we had not heard from Amanda, and I thought it's just so funny, like the voice she uses when she speaks to him. Have you noticed this? She, like, her small voice. Like, is this her flirting voice?
Oh, she
Do you
turns
know
into
what I
a baby
mean?
stripper, like
Yeah, she
a,
does like the
a
little,
tiny kiss.
I kind of
I
like,
kind of
oh,
like
that
it.
would be good. Like,
Oh, this lady
like
knows what she's doing. She played the
she
game.
knows.
She
She
knows.
knows.
Jenny,
Like,
is this one of your moves?
I don't think so. I
You're
don't
like,
think so.
I don't do that. Do I
Do I do
do
Chappelle? I don't think I do that. I'm not trying to wrap you around my finger right now. Just a little bit.
that?
This
Wow.
absolute queen. Okay, so much to unpack though. Obviously, we get the reveal later in the episode that not only is Amanda not interested in Devonte like that, and is kind of just like extending this relationship for game purposes. Like, she's not even just lying about that to make herself sound like she's more game savvy. She's like, I'm not a showman. I'm definitely, because you know how people that are
Yeah.
like really into the person are like, we see it all the time in Big Brother. We're probably even seeing
Mhm.
it this season, where people are hopping into the diary room being like, no, I'm just like, if they want to like throw their game on the line for me, that's okay. I'm not interested
Uh-huh.
in them though. And you're like, that's cap.
Cap.
But this queen has a whole ass relationship at home.
So real.
And
So real.
this isn't done enough, I think, Chappelle.
Yeah. And it's funny because we could be like, okay, but just because she has a relationship at home, that doesn't mean that she's not feeling Devontae. Like that, maybe she got wrapped up.
Right.
But
Sure.
but then by the end of the episode, when time to put up or shut up, she put up. She said, "No, Devonte can't save you." Bye. What?
Yeah.
What?
I'm
So,
not doing it for game or personal at this point.
right.
Bye.
You gotta go. Like you've done I've done enough to get in good with y'all. This was supposed to get me as far as it
Yeah.
could, and now we're out of runway. Goodbye. And so yes, this lady is like, sure, a little peck ain't gonna hurt. You know, she probably already cleared it with her man at home. He's like, honey, do
Yes.
what you gotta do to win the game. And she's like, say less.
And that here's the thing. Everyone's got their boundaries, and if you are not comfortable having your partner go on reality TV and do this, that's fair. That's fine for you. But wow, what an icon this woman is, and what an icon her partner is for being like, you know what? Go do your thing, girl. Like, as long as you're
Mhm.
not like full on hooking up with somebody else, if you got to flirt and do a little something, I know what's real. You're giving me the heads up. Like, it's like it's like a hall pass, but like not,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
It's for
It's like a
game.
game hall pass.
Yeah, it's like you're about to go do something on TV, but as long as you're very clear that this is for TV, it's for money, it's for game, and also we've talked about it,
Mhm.
then there's nothing to worry about. You know, we've seen people come on the show and say like, my partner gave me a pass to do whatever I need to do, and it never pays off. It never gets to anything.
Yeah.
This time we saw it in real time. She has a boyfriend. She's playing Devonte. She's trying to make a move, and she does, and she cuts him out of the game and weakens this guy alliance, like this guy alliance that's happening, the bro alliance or whatever. You know, what else could you ask for from a reality TV? I think we've been talking about how much of a standout
Yeah.
Katherine is this season, but we cannot ignore the impact of Queen Amanda.
No, I fully agree. We have two iconic, like, you know, low-key villains, because here's the thing, like, what Amanda did is still villain, but, like, you know what I mean? It's different. It's kind of different than what Catherine's doing, but, like,
Mm,
iconic all the same. It's really, really brilliant stuff. I do want to discuss, though,
mm,
the decision itself,
okay.
because these are the two women that really burn Devonte the most, in that these are two, you know, two outs for him to try to get saved here and not be um the casualty of the bros here. How do we feel about Amanda's decision? Do we think that there is, like, I love it from like an iconic television standpoint, like, yes, queen, like,
Hmm.
bite his head off, beautiful. Um However, was this is this going to be the right move for Amanda going forward? Discuss.
Hmm. Yeah, he's like, go on.
Because
Um.
because she kind of talks it through when she's making this, and it does seem like she was weighing both sides, right? And she basically acknowledges that if she does save Devonte, she's kind of, you know, moving into this like 5-person alliance with the three bros and then Mac. Um,
And Katherine allegedly.
but I don't think she knows. She doesn't mention Catherine when she's talking this through. I think that at that stage, the Katherine being like the guy's fourth is like kind of an unknown to some of them thing, or like fake. I
Mm,
don't know. Cause she kind of names like, if I make this move, then I'm locking in with like Devonte, Mac, and Jack and Brett or whatever. Um, but I just like, the other side is like it's really like fractured and weird, where it's like we've got Derek kind of just trying to put it together, this like ragtag group that basically are only a group because they have the mutual goal of, you can pretty much get everyone on board with breaking up the bromance of three, right?
hmm.
Especially when two of them are like kind of developing side stuff with some women. Like, you can understand why all those people are like, okay, yeah, let's get on board and do this move together. But like, did she just reattach herself to Derek, and does Derek have like, are the people that Derek has been kind of trying to make on his side through this episode truly for Amanda as well? Has she been doing the work? I don't know.
Um. I think this is the right move. I'm thinking about it now in the real time. Like I think it's the right move because you know what you're up against with the boys. You know that they're never going to quote unquote turn on each other. Like her and Devonte are both playing each other, and they're aware of it. It's not like she's
Mhm.
like, I think I have like he's in love with me, like it's not like
Yeah.
that. Um because if he too was not like playing her, then I'd say this is a mistake because this man is never going to turn on you, right? Like this is
Yeah.
like Jack cutting McClain. We know it's never going to happen. But because we know that this is not a real alliance, I
At
think
this
she does.
stage.
Yeah, it's not at this stage. And maybe it could grow. But Devonte seems to be somebody who's pretty laser focused, and so does Amanda. So maybe she knows
Mhm.
I ain't letting it get no further than this. She has a man at home,
Yeah.
right? So it's kind of
Yeah.
like, let me cut him off now. He's already trying to get kisses in too. You keep him
Yeah.
around too much longer, he could be like, so another peck on the cheek,
Like,
another kiss on the lips. Like
yeah,
I
it
think she's
gets
like,
too much
all right,
work.
yeah, she's like, this is gonna get messy, so I got to get rid of
Yeah.
you now. And then
Yeah.
look at the other side. They're socially they're great, but I don't think they're the most threatening. So you have Jordan, Frank, Alyssa, and Derek,
Katherine.
and Katherine kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
So like I feel like you take a shot at the bros because that's unbreakable. Them people ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
But like
That's like a
eventually,
guaranteed 3 lock,
right,
yeah.
exactly. And then McClain. She's
Mhm.
not turning on
Yeah.
them anytime soon either, because she's not gonna piss off Jack. It seems like she's
Yeah.
all in on this relationship.
Yeah.
So I think you do have to take a shot at that group because I think the other side is more fluid. I think you can move
Mhm.
around a little bit more. Jordan is not going to always want to go with Frank and Alyssa if necessary. I think there's a world where maybe Jordan picks Katherine, as you pointed out last week. Katherine could go anywhere, I think, at some point. So I think it leaves you more outs. Whereas with the guys, you're really hoping that Devonte is true to you, and that's it. They have no loyalty to you over there. At least
Yeah.
you have Derek, who you have had a working relationship with in the past, and you're not trying to like romance your way into an alliance with him, right? You could just be that could be a strategic game or a game relationship strictly, where you don't have to like try to like bring Devonte in. Because I think if you try to break off the like romance with Devonte, I don't think that's good for your game either. Because I think at
Mhm.
that point he's probably thinking, oh, well, then maybe you're not as loyal to me as I thought you were. And so I think this was definitely the move. Now, I don't think she is counting on Devonte going out, but
Right.
because there is a world where Brett does go, and I think that's probably a
Yeah.
little bit better for her. But aside from that, like, nah, I think this was the right move.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I think that in a perfect world, well, obviously, like, I don't think that Amanda, who's kind of like keeping options open on both sides of like this war, uh, doesn't want to be in a position this soon to have to like really be forced to pick a side, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that already is not ideal. But in a perfect world for her, the bros still get broken up, but it's not actually Devonte that goes, and she didn't have anything to do with it, because I do really think that that Jack or Brett leaving would have been great for Amanda, because it weakens options for Devonte, and it keeps him, you know, kind of wanting to work with her. And if she didn't have to, piss off Derek or anyone else in the process, and that's perfect. But unfortunately, the way that the chain was getting set up, that wasn't possible. And I don't know if Amanda was maybe doing the math on whether there was anything that she could do, or any maneuvering with other people that she could have set up to have it go down to like Jack and Brett. But I think it seemed pretty obvious that, at least obvious from the episode, that Brett had the best personal relationship with Derek. So despite being the ultimate target a couple weeks ago when it was Jacob in charge, or so he thought, Brett was actually, through this episode, we got a lot of content about Brett and Derek and their friendship. To the point where it's almost like, okay, we got Jack with his little showmance with Mac. We got Devonte cooking something up with Amanda here, and then we've got Brett's side chick. It's Detective Derek.
Pretty much, yeah. Which I appreciate, Derek. We haven't really talked about the detective too much, but this was
Yeah, we
very
should.
much his episode. We are team Pastor Jacob in this household, but at the same time, my boy Derek was able to really move around a lot more without Mr. Pastor kind of
Yeah.
going rogue and doing his own
He was
thing.
literally able to talk to people for himself.
Yeah, and that is seemingly a benefit, but I don't want to take too much from the pastor because the pastor left
Mhm.
Derek a little something something. We speculated about what it would be. What
Yes.
happens is he maybe try to give a hindrance to Katherine or something like that, an obstacle, or does
No
he make like
shot.
an advantage to Derek? You're right. There was no shot
He
he was going to do
spreads
that.
love.
That's not how a pastor gets down. Yeah, he spread some love to Derek,
Yeah.
and that love might have been the thing that really cooked Devonte. Had it not been for Pastor Jacob going out last week, maybe Devonte is still here.
Yeah, let's talk about this advantage and the challenge because obviously this week does not play out the way it does if Derek doesn't end up winning the snake here. Like, Derek might have been okay and not been eliminated perhaps if he did enough with people outside of the bros to kind of keep himself in the middle somewhere. It wasn't necessarily game over if he didn't win, but he he did what he needed to do because we've got our first visit to the house from Jim. Like Jim comes into the house to
Mhm.
present the twist and present the little mini crate that I guess they will be given after each eliminated person bequeaths either
Mhm.
an advantage or disadvantage, and like we expected, it was a challenge advantage, and they don't find out what it is until we get there. And okay, so the challenge, so all the advantage was is that there was like, it seemed like there were the two beams that they have to walk across to pull the lever or whatever. It was like a rope or something in the hanging. I
Yeah.
don't really know. Um, and what was the obstacle? It was just like a piece of something like on the beam that they had to like navigate around.
Yeah, almost like a little balance beam kind of thing, like or just
But
like an
like, what was
obstruction
the?
on there.
Yeah, it was just like another mini beam in the
Yeah,
middle
like
or
a mini
something. Okay,
beam. Right, right, right,
yeah, I
right.
was
Because
trying to figure that out.
I think the concept is you're so high up that people are like timidly walking across the
Mm-hmm.
thing, pull the rope. We've seen this on like the challenge and things
Yes.
of that nature. But it was only like 50 feet. And so like that's
Yeah.
a lot of feet, but that's not crazy like when it comes to
And it
like
didn't look
heights.
that skinny.
Right,
It seemed like you definitely, because I mean I've watched some crazy shit.
right.
I watched 2 seasons of Special Forces: World's Toughest Test. They
That
did
part.
some wild ass challenges in that show.
Hmm.
Including like basically walking on like tightrope kind of shit.
Yeah.
But um it did seem doable, but it's not just a matter of doing it, it's doing it the fastest. So
Hmm.
I think that not having the obstacle there, it frees you from having to pay attention to where you're stepping, I guess, to do it
Yeah.
quickly. Um, but the it was like a second between the top 4 people, like between each of the
Not
top
even.
4 people.
It was like 0.4 seconds or something
Yeah,
like
I
that.
think it was
It
like
was something crazy.
Jim said that it was like 4/100ths of a second
Yeah.
was what Derek had over the next person, but there was like only a second separating all 4 of them or something like that. Anyway, very marginal. And I want to discuss, so obviously ultimately Derek wins it, and you can say that the advantage maybe helped him, but
Didn't
like,
hurt.
was that marginal? How much of this was like an advantage of like not going super early? Because we kind of see that people are watching other people go first and kind of watching the strategy of what other people are doing and realizing how quick you have to do. It's almost like, when there's like timed challenges, I kind of like when they're done in like secret or whatever so that the other competitors can't see and
Mhm.
learn and also know what time, like, even though they didn't have a clock or anything, you get a sense of like how much time you have to do it in. And I just think that when you're like one of the first pairs to do it, you don't have that information. And
Mhm.
again, no challenge is ever going to be completely fair. But listen, I'm a Libra bitch, okay? And I'm going to be looking for the justice here. And I'm going to be balancing those scales, baby. And I'm just saying, I think the true advantage here is going as late as possible and knowing what you're up against, watching what other people did, watching the people that did it quickly and how they moved. I think that is like what helped Amanda, for example. Like Amanda was like in the top 4 with a bunch of these like really physical guys. Like props to her. But she knew from watching who she needed to beat and how quick they did it roughly, right? So
Mhm.
I don't know. I just like one of those things where it's like it might have been more interesting in terms of results if they weren't able to see exactly what everyone else was doing.
Yeah, it helps when somebody sets the pace for sure. You know, like
Yeah.
once we saw how fast Jack went, there's either you dive for the rope or you just forfeit your turn because that's exactly what he did. You saw his technique that he did; it was very very fast. And then we saw everybody who was attempting to win this to really try to replicate that. Right?
Yeah.
We saw that to different levels of success. But you know, Derek had one more added benefit. Not only did he get to go last, but he had one less step to worry about basically by not having to avoid that little beam. And I guess, you know, point what 0.04 seconds could change a lot, you know. And so I agree with you that going last or at least at the end, I don't know what the editing is like, maybe they didn't go in order, who knows. but
That's
um
true.
but
Some of them
but
did know though, because they mentioned like at this point it's probably this person or this person winning,
uh-huh.
so I have to do.
Right. Right. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, even if they even if they did go out of order, it doesn't matter because you're right. Going last is not a detriment to anyone. Like you see what you need to beat, and then you can replicate the technique that they used.
Just
And
try
I
to do it
think
better.
that yeah, and you just gotta do it better or a little bit faster, and it helps if you have an advantage. And so Derek wins this and he's pumped up. Derek is a detective, yes. But
Yeah.
he's on like one of these rabbit squirrel gamers that we see on these other shows. Like he's really, you know, I think the real mistake here is that Derek's not in the Brochacho alliance because
Well, he
he would
might be
fit in
now.
with them. I'm just saying he would have fit in with them from the beginning. The
Yeah.
way he's like, yeah, come on, welcome gaming to the like,
He
let's
said,
go.
"I'm
Like
built different, baby." He had 2 energy drinks, Chappell.
he's
Did you
on
hear
some like
him?
big brother, like I got that dog in me, you know. Like I was like,
Yeah.
Derek, calm down, you know. Maybe because he was aligned with the pastor, I tried to make him a little bit more mild mannered. When in
Yeah.
reality, like, no, he's here to compete.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Pastor Jacob, you know, maybe figuratively had like a muzzle on Derek because he was constantly kind of just making deals and talking for him and then just filling him in later. And Pastor Jacob is gone and the muzzle is off. The dog is in him and the dog he's letting the dogs out. The Baja men are here. Like
Pastor Jacob let the dog
because
out.
he went off. But what was interesting though is like I think that in the so obviously we had the pairs and we had the whole you think that you're paired up again and that maybe it'll be like two-headed snake. No, you're actually against each other. And so it's Derek versus Brett, new bromance unlocked. And
Mm-hmm.
I believe that Brett might have actually gotten to the end of the beam faster than Derek, but missed
Yeah,
is that what happened?
it does look like that. Yeah, it looks like Brett was going a mile a minute, and he probably would have won, but you have to grab the rope, and he
Yeah.
missed
And you could still say that that's where the advantage for Derek helps him
because
because he's
he didn't
more
miss.
likely to be
Yeah,
accurate because he doesn't
have to
have
navigate the
anything
things.
impairing
Mm-hmm.
his walking or whatever. So again, but Brett was fast. Like he
Yeah.
technically was the faster of the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, two very physical guys and we even hear at the end of the episode that I almost feel like Brett's kind of saying like he is going to be the new Devonte. Did you get that sense? I felt like that was kind of what Brett was insinuating here, that Derek could be the new Devonte in this crew.
No, well, hold on. I don't think it's for the crew. I think he
Well,
means like the new Devonte, as in like Brett's new person. But I don't think he gets into the bro alliance like this. I think this is like Brett doesn't have a side chick. The
yeah.
best thing he had was Devonte. Devonte is gone,
Well,
so
he
now
could
it's
have
like
had Kaylee, right?
he could have had he fumbled.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Yeah.
Um, but
She
yeah,
wanted it.
yeah, really fumbled. He didn't want it. But yeah, but he didn't have a child. He doesn't have a side chick, and so he's
Yeah.
kind of like Devonte was always going to pick Brett. Now he doesn't have a person who could always pick him. But what if
Mm,
Derek is the person who can always pick him? And so I think he's kind of
yeah.
like, now I need to lean into that relationship because the bro alliance is only going to save you so much. We know McClain is always going to save Jack,
Yes.
who is always going to save Brett. I think he needs a new
Yeah.
Devonte, and I think Derek might be that person. Now, I don't think there any world where Derek and the bros are working together outside of that. Like Jack would be crazy. I think that would be insane for Jack to try to even trust at this point. But Brett and Derek have been getting close. They work out together. They talk about life. And if it wasn't for this split house, I think that they would be really close allies.
I agree in that it's definitely smart for Brett to have a number one, a true number one, especially because it didn't seem, even if the guys were always going to kind of stick together, they had the other two were kind of building options outside of that three. And it is smart for Brett to kind of create those options. And it just also seems like Brett genuinely likes Derek and is kind of like, why are we like against this guy? I kind of like working out
Yeah.
with him. We're like broing down. He's a fit guy. He like drinks a lot of energy drinks. And I don't know, Brett seems like the kind of guy that's into that too.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think like so many interesting things happen here. I'm very, very intrigued to see what the new layout of the social like landscape is going to be, because we haven't really touched on Katherine here. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
maybe this is the segue to do so, because Katherine had her spot with the three guys and she was the fourth, and she burns Devonte by not picking him. She kind of burns Jack in a way, in that like she had to, Jack comes to Katherine basically being like, hey, I'm a little worried. And she's like, I can't do anything about it. I already promised my vote to a Devonte. And on top of all of that, one does not pick either of them, even though she had the opportunity to do so, picks Jordan instead.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes down, this is what I really want to like dig into with you. When it
Mm-hmm.
comes down to just Devonte and Brett left, Katherine decides to pipe up and stump for Devonte not to be eliminated by Derek. So essentially being like, you got to get rid of Brett. What was this?
Please don't, whatever you do, don't do this to Devonte. He's a wonderful person and he's been loyal and honest. And if you love me at all, you'll make sure, girl, shut up. Like, I love her so much.
Jim said, you already had your
You already
save.
had your turn. Be quiet. I love her
I
because,
know.
what?
What?
Lady, you had this man's life in your hands and completely like gave it away. And now you're like, but please, anything for him. Like, don't, not Devonte, nobody, whatever you do, save him. He's too good for this. Like,
She's
Katherine,
gaslighting me at this point, because I just
she
don't
ain't doing shit.
understand what she's doing.
This lady, look, I think this is me. I'm putting
Okay.
my big brain hat on. Okay. So maybe I'm
Get
wrong.
it, boy. Mm-hmm.
I think that this was Katherine's moment to make sure that if Devonte is going home feeling betrayed, that he not going to unleash a punishment on her.
Yeah.
We know
Yeah,
what the
that's the
twist
only
is.
explanation.
Because
Right?
what? Yeah, I mean, no. Well, I think it's a win-win. I think you save Brett, Devonte is still there. You might be able to pull him back in and be like, no, I knew that. I stumped for you. I'm the reason they saved you. I went to bat for you. But if Brett but if Devonte goes, at least he not like, you know who really betrayed me? Katherine.
Yeah.
Katherine betrayed me. Like, at least look remorseful, like you care that he's gone, XYZ. Like, maybe, just maybe, that could save you from being disadvantaged, because we don't know if every advantage or disadvantage that's given out in this game is going to be strictly challenge related. Maybe one disadvantage might land you in the bottom two, in the snake pit or whatever. Who knows? And so I think it's very smart to try to get the target off your back, but it's so over the top. And maybe it's because we see everything. It feels a little transparent, Jenny. Like, why is she acting like this isn't her fault?
For sure. And also in the context of it, like, saying all of this when it's down to Devonte and Brett, you're also low-key pissing off Brett. Like,
Yeah.
you've pissed Jack off already because he came to you, asked to be saved. Then you said, sorry, would love to, but I already promised Devonte. And then you go and don't save either of them. Then so Devonte's gonna go. You've pissed off Jack already, and then the remaining person who doesn't appear that she made any promises to, she's basically just trying to shove in front of the bus and say, hey Derek, I can't let you do this. Can you really get rid of Brett here? And whether that's really what she meant by this or not, that's what he's hearing.
That's what I would hear.
Like, I just think that, Katherine needed the bros to be broken up. Obviously, that's what she was hoping was going to happen last episode. And we've talked ad nauseum about how Jacob leaving ultimately wasn't really the best thing for her. It was, given the fact that he kind of called her out, but like, that didn't need to be the result. Obviously, that was some of Jacob's part there. But she needed that 3 to be broken up, but it did not need to have any of her fingerprints on. And she loses one of 3 people that I think would have kept her safe as much as possible. Maybe not first choice, all of them, but would have kept her safe as much as possible. And then, like, pissed them all off in a way, because, again, some of that you have no control over. She gets put in a position where she, has this other bond with, like, the Jordan and the Frankie and Alyssa side of things. Like, that's also kind of its own for. So she does, like, look really bad to those people if she doesn't pick Jordan there. But everyone's saying, like, there was no world where Jordan was going to be eliminated. Like, let her be in the bottom.
Yeah.
So I don't know what this does for it. Like, if this was all just to avoid a punishment, potential punishment from Devonte here, sure, but I really worry about what Katherine has done with this relationship here.
I don't mind. I don't mind the move. I don't. I'm really playing it out in my head. Like, I don't hate it.
Strategically, though, like, okay, I like it, entertainment wise. Sure.
Yeah.
But
I don't hate it, Jenny, because I think the person who's going to take this the most personally is gone. I think Devonte is gone. I think you do have to worry about Jack. But doesn't Jack have bigger fish to fry than Katherine? Like, is Jack's next target not always Derek? And if it is,
might be Amanda.
I mean, even then, right? You got Amanda, you got Derek. Katherine,
avenge Devonte.
Yeah, Katherine has other outs. She has Jordan, she has, Frank and Alyssa, that alliance still. Derek probably could save her if necessary. So she kind of flipped with the numbers, like with Devonte leaving and her and Amanda both like declaring their side, the other side, that leaves Jack, Brett, McLean, all as a trio, and that's it. There's nobody else. They lost Amanda, they lost Devonte at the same exact time. So at best, one of them could win, but the odds are against them. And then if they do, they still have to be willing to eliminate Katherine over maybe Derek, who could be a bigger threat. So I don't hate it completely. I don't love it. I definitely don't love it. I honestly think it might have been a little too soon to flip. Because I think that if Katherine saves the boys here, you could potentially lose Jordan, maybe. but I don't know. It's so
No.
early. It's so early. I mean, 'cause
No.
that's the thing. If Jordan's in the bottom two, who's Jordan in the bottom two with?
I think either McLean or one of the guys. So here's the thing, where the way things played out, and again, it's hard to know without hearing from everyone, because we heard Derek talk out his strategy of like how he wanted the snake to go, and we should
Mhm.
talk about what he's doing in terms of putting in some work with Mayor John, and then Christine is also there.
She
But
is there.
like it was supposed to be Mayor John, Christine, then Christine picks
Amanda.
Amanda, and then Amanda picks Frankie. Frankie picks Alyssa. And then when Derek was talking about the string of events, Derek actually said Alyssa picks Jordan, Jordan picks Katherine, and then da 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 da. So I
Mhm.
don't know how much this really matters, but I think that there was a version of the plan where Jordan didn't need to be picked by Katherine, because Jordan was picked before Katherine and is the reason that Katherine is safe. So if it had
Mhm.
gone that way, obviously, I think for sure if Jordan's already saved, Katherine would save one of the bros probably. Um,
Mm.
However, because then she's going to get probably McLean. She would have to not pick Jack. She'd have to pick Devonte,
Mhm. Which would
and
make
then
sense.
Devonte, and then okay, so Devonte
Devontae picks
would then
Brett automatically.
probably picks Brett, and
Mhm.
then it's just Jack and Mac in the bottom, right? And then I think at that point Derek probably eliminates Jack there. That wouldn't have been bad for her. That would not have
No.
been bad for her. The other option though is if she chose not to pick Jordan. If she says Jordan's fine, picks Devonte, Devonte picks Brett,
Brett.
Brett
Mhm.
picks Jack, and then it's McLean and Jordan in the bottom. That's not great for Katherine, but it's actually not bad either, because I think McLean goes there, because I
Yeah.
don't think that Derek is wasting
No.
his power on Jordan, and
No.
I think that's still a very bad result for Derek, but if he can weaken Jack, then that at least is
Mhm.
something. He's pissed at that point of how they ended up there,
Yeah.
but I think that that's how that results. I don't think that there was ever a scenario that Jordan would go, but she has the out of saying, I don't know that. I don't know that. I have to protect Jordan.
I honestly think that's a better move for her, is getting McLean out. I
I
think
do
that,
too.
like,
I
yeah, I
do
think
too.
I think McLean should have been what Catherine was aiming for here. Because don't get me
Mm-hmm.
wrong, it will piss off Derek. We all know who Derek's target is. The whole house is clear on it. There's no like ambiguity. He wants Devonte out. Um, but like, if Devonte doesn't go out and Derek's still in the house, he's next week he's not going to be working with Devonte and Brett. They're still going to be coming after each other. And so maybe
Mm-hmm.
Derek wins the snake again and we got to try for it again, whatever the case may be. But I think that having them at odds with each other and not at odds with you is perfect.
Yes.
And now, if I'm Jack, sure, I could get out Derek. And I probably would. But I could settle for Catherine for sure. Because you're not used to me if you're not going to be honest and if you're not going to save us when it's time for you to save us. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that she made enemies in a way where she could have kind of like maybe dodged the bullet a little bit more. Maybe she's looking more long term. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm not getting out Devonte, who is a stronger guy, in these moments, then maybe, like, okay, no disrespect to McLean. She has been the head of the snake. But who are you more threatened by in competition? Probably Devonte.
Yeah.
And so maybe she like, there's no point in me getting out McLean from a competitive standpoint because that's just going to leave the bros in to bro down some more until they eventually get sick of me. And so maybe that's why she's like, okay, I can beat McLean in something. I'd have a harder time beating this array of boys. And obviously Amanda, who is a competition threat as well.
Here's the thing. I think that for Katherine, she needs someone like McLean gone, probably sooner than she needs one of the guys gone, because McLean is essentially like sincerely the person that Katherine is attempting to be. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And but also is like ultra protected because her and Jack have feelings for each other.
Right, right,
And
right.
Jack has a whole fucking squad. So like the more I think about it, like that really should have been her main aim here. And I think that she did not need to have to be a part of the reason that one of the bros go here, even if she acknowledges that they need to be broken up and that's good for her. Like, I do think that she maybe could have gotten around this and kept enough people that had bigger fish to fry with each other and get rid of, a kind of an under the radar threat that is playing the game is super. Do you hear the way that people talk about McLean? Like, did you hear what Jordan said about her when she picked McLean? She was like, I'm picking someone that like is such a beautiful person and needs to know their worth and da 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 da. Like, they McLean is like the sweet little lamb of
Mm-hmm.
the house that everyone feels like she was in the first 2 weeks and now she's permanently the victim. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I love that for her because she's not, seen as a threat, but that makes her a threat. Like, that's what is making her a threat. So I really think that that would have been the better move for Katherine. She would have had to do some explaining when it came to Jordan and then Frank and Alyssa through that.
But what they
Um,
gonna do?
but if she says like, I knew for a fact there was no way that Jordan was going to be the person that was eliminated, and I was trying to make sure that it was this person instead or whatever, because if it was down to Jordan and this person, I knew that person was going to go. Like, you can use that argument.
Absolutely. I think you're 100% correct. I think that Frank and Alyssa have no right to be like, Katherine, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
y'all get over it. Y'all have nothing going on this side except social bonds, but you got to start winning stuff. And so it's
Yeah.
like, and if you win something, your target should not be Katherine. Now, at least not this week. Now, moving forward, I
Mm.
definitely think that, like you said, people should be goat hunting. And when it comes to goat hunting, the biggest goat right now, the person who everybody's trying to drag to the end, or at least is not threatened by it all, is McLean. Like you said, she is like, oh, I wish she would love herself more. It's crazy. Like, I think that's a wild thing to say about somebody.
She
But
said
like,
that she thought when she thought it was going to be her or Jack, she was straight up. We got a confessional from her basically being like, Jack deserves to be here more.
more than me, yeah. I was like, what are we doing? And so you need her
Yeah.
out of the game because one, there's a vote for Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's going to keep Jack in the game. You definitely want her out. I think they're not seeing that because of the war that's in front of them. But
Yeah.
maybe somebody like Frank or Alyssa will find a way to ease their way into a situation where they can get out of McLean or something like that and leave Derek and the boys going at it. I think that
Mm-hmm.
a shot at McLean is a shot at Jack, and that's what makes it dangerous. But if you have Jack who is more concerned about Derek and Derek who is more concerned about Jack, maybe you can pull off a little move and pick out one of these middle pieces while you still can.
Exactly. Like, if you're like floating, if you're in good with people on both sides, if you're in the middle at this stage, it's still early enough that you want to make sure there's enough big dogs on both sides of the fight and that they're not looking at you yet and that they're still kind of aimed at each other, but you're weakening their pieces. You're weakening the people that are like their pawns or like their people
Mm-hmm.
that are like shields for them, where it's just like, if you can't get me, you might get this person.
Mm-hmm.
And that those people are always going to protect those people. So I truly, truly think that Katherine, really just wanted a bro to go and thought that that was like such a, she probably had a rule written up ahead of time. We did not get
Mm-hmm.
Katherine referencing any rules tonight.
Yeah.
However, we know that that's something that she's been wanting for a little bit. But I'm not 100% that was like the best move for her. And if one of the bros could go, I think that obviously it would have been better for Brett to go, because it didn't
Mm-hmm.
seem like she had a close relationship with Brett. Definitely seemed
Yeah.
like she had the least relationship with him of the three.
She lost Devonte, who would have never voted her out. And so I have to say that that's
Mm-hmm.
like not good. Like
Yeah.
the name of the game is having the see, that's where Devonte went wrong. He has great relationships with everybody, but only a few people are willing to go to bat for him to stay in the game. You know,
Right.
it's like everybody feels good with you, but you don't, they also don't feel the need to save you. You're not doing them any
Yeah.
favors because you're tied to Brett so like closely.
Mhm.
No one's picking Brett except you. So every
Yeah.
time you get picked, we know Brett's getting picked next. It's the same thing with Jack and McClain. McClain is no use to us because she's always going to pick Jack. And so that's why we're like, Katherine should go ahead and get McClain out because she's no use to you. She's always picking Jack. Now, for Katherine, she's tied very closely with Jack and McClain, or at least she was prior to this. So maybe there's a world where McClain would pick her, you know, as like the bidding to Jack, like, okay, you're aligned with Jack, so you're good with me. But when it comes to Devonte, he does not have that same protection. You know, he doesn't have, he can't offer you that same protection either. It's like when the bros get picked, if Devonte is the second bro, then he's picking Brett. The
Yeah.
only way he can pick anybody not named Brett is if he's the last bro to get chosen. And
Yeah.
if that happened, everybody else has already gotten chosen because they're already choosing the people who are ride or die for them. And so, yeah, he's just in a really bad spot. It was like socially he was good, but he wasn't a value to anybody's game. And I think McClain is kind of like that, in my opinion, to everybody not named Jack. It's like,
For sure.
I would be okay with her going because what is that going to do to me? Now, do I waste my head of the snake on it? No. I try to get
No.
her out on somebody else's. Like, and this would have been the perfect time to let her stumble her own way out on Derek's snake reign.
Yeah, because
So
that's
that
a fail for him. Like it's like
there's a fail for
a bit.
him.
It's not like the worst possible scenario for Derek, but it's definitely not what he set out to do. And
Mhm.
the people that were at risk will know that. And then
Yeah,
again, guns stay
they're still
aimed
there.
at each other, right?
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it's tricky. Like, okay, all I can think about now is imagine the world where Devonte is like, God damn it, I really don't want to have to stick to this pact. But the Pastor Jacob master plan from a couple rounds ago, if
Mhm.
everything had gone the way it was supposed to, the two people that would have been eliminated, I believe, would have been Brett and Christine. And because of the hijinks, that is where we lose Cody and Brian.
Yes.
And obviously lots like could have butterfly effect at this point, but like just interesting to think about. I still look back and think like I don't think that was great for Katherine. I don't think, Cody wasn't doing anything for her, but like
Yeah.
Brian was going to save that woman no matter what. And I just think that it was so early that like the bros are going to continue and she would have lost Brett, who what I don't think was ever prioritizing her. Like that would have been best case bro for her to go. Like that would have been, and now good luck. Good luck getting him out now. He's buddied up with Derek. He's
Yeah.
moving into the Devonte spot. I see it. I just think that like the way they set it up at the end of the episode, and again, who knows what happens next, but I feel like Brett is like, hey, we got put on separate sides, like, and I don't think that was ever what should happen. Like, I feel like you fit in really great with us. I think he's already
Mhm.
priming at him to just be like, okay, you got your lick.
Yeah.
You lost Jacob. We lost Devonte.
Let's
Let's
move on.
squad up and take out all of these. Like, see how there was the voiceover about like let's take out these weaker players.
Yeah.
And then like it was like a shot of like Alyssa, Christine. I can't remember who else was there.
Probably
But I was like, oh my
Jordan.
gosh,
Yeah,
yeah, probably
probably
Jordan.
probably Frankie. We did
Yeah,
not get a lot from Frank this episode at all.
yeah,
But he is still someone who is not being targeted right now. The Bros
and
versus
he's good
Derek
with
is
Derek.
it's the main event. But if for
Mm-hmm.
some reason the Bros could get on the same page as Derek, which I say should not happen, it should not
But it
happen.
might.
But if for some reason it happens, I'm so sorry. I don't know how we ended up here because Derek should not trust anything that the boys say. How many times does someone have to like lie to you before you realize, okay, they are not trustworthy? They've done it so
What
many
if
times.
it's even now? You got
It's
me,
not,
I
but
got
it
you.
cannot, because what if it's not even? What if you think it's even and then they betray you again? Now look at you with your clown nose on.
I know.
You cannot allow somebody to fool you 3 times. You can't. So it's kind of like,
But
no, the
what
damage is
if?
done. Right, right. But the damage is done. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
hey, we can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. We're at odds. How do I start working on these other relationships to make sure that at least if the war is on the bros sides, because there's only three of them, it's only
Mhm.
like, how do I stay safe? And I think having a close relationship with Brett is good for him, because Brett, Jack, McLean, they gotta pick somebody else. They
Yeah.
have to. Like, the rules of the game state that they gotta pick somebody. So if one of them's at the
Unless
head
they're
of the
the
snake,
last three.
yeah. So once if they're at the head of the snake and they're in charge, you got to make sure you're picked before last, And so,
Mhm.
does that mean you and Frank need to have an agreement where you'll always pick Alyssa? Does Frank even trust you to even make that choice? Or Frank is always going to pick Alyssa? Same thing with Jordan. Jordan picked Katherine, but can she be swayed? Should you be working on Katherine now? Because she's always going to get picked by Jordan if that is a thing. Like,
Yeah.
where do you fit in now that the war has started? And I think that, like, that's how you have to have your pawns or your other people in your army fighting these fights too. Because thus far, it has been Pastor Jacob and Derek versus the Bros.
Yeah.
Nobody has come into power that would have any
That's
other
been the
agenda.
storyline.
Yeah, except for when Alyssa was in charge. And even then, it was the luckiest, no disrespect to her, but they just handed her the head of the snake. And then from there, I don't think they made the perfect decision either, because
Well,
I
they
don't
were still
think
carrying out that,
that's
like,
still that fight.
storyline,
Yeah,
right? So,
exactly. So it's like, we haven't seen anybody else's agenda come into play. I would
no.
love to see what happens if Derek can maybe rope in Mayor John, not John Mayer.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk quickly about Mayor John, because Mayor John is someone who clearly wants to play. We
And not
see
with
we
Christine.
not with Christine, but his hand was forced. And Derek rightfully said, like, I need some numbers. And we talked about this in our last podcast. We're like, Derek has lost his right hand pastor and he needs to pick up some numbers. He needs to put some work in with some of these people that have no home. And he extends this olive branch to Mayor John, makes him the first save, and basically asks him to do him a solid and kind of get things going so that he can try to make sure that the bros are in the bottom. And I think that I ultimately think that, based on what we hear people say about Christine, is that, like, unfortunately, I don't think she's much of a factor in anyone's game. And
Mm,
if anything, she's just kind of used as, like, we will save her so that she doesn't fall to the bottom so that we can eliminate who we want to eliminate.
mhm.
That's kind of like what her position is. But Mayor John wants to play. And I'm interested to know if we think that the Derek and Mayor John relationship will extend past this round. And because notice that Derek spoke with Frank, who, again, I think that they have a good relationship. We saw Frank clocking that Derek was, like, telling the truth in all of the arguments with the guys. Um, Frank basically says straight up, like, I don't trust Mayor John. He's a politician.
Right.
And then Derek says, I know, but he's very smart.
Mhm.
Um, and so I like, does he have a leg to stand? Can Mayor John build any momentum here now that he's got someone who at least wants to use him for a minute?
I think he has some wiggle room. I think that
Mhm.
the bro alliance is down bad, and they need numbers, and so he could be a useful resource to them. If they need somebody, they would be desperate enough to come to him. Then that
But
could be
I don't think
useful
they
for
put
him.
any work in with him is the thing.
Exactly. And that's my other side, is that they also never worked with him. So he
Yeah.
has targets as well. He could definitely come after the bros with almost no guilt. Like, there's nothing, like, I'm not beholden to any type of pact. I don't owe y'all anything. If anything, y'all were jerks to me last week. So if I'm targeting you, that's what it is. It's kind of like you can join the war without actually being a part of Derek's squad.
Right.
That
Yeah, for
said,
sure.
the bros should be courting him. They should
Oh,
be trying
yeah.
to pull him away from Derek. And so I think he's in a good spot. I think he can target the bros, but the bros should be looking for numbers, because if John wins, it's a non-zero chance that one of them will go up. He's probably one of the people who I think should be goat hunting, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I think the bros would still be after Derek. I think Derek's still going to be after the bros. Why not try to get Christine out?
I
Or
was just gonna say, I truly think that there's a non-zero chance that if Mayor John ends up in power, that he does not show any cards and just tries to like let nature like take its course and just like let Christine die, because
yeah.
he is ultimately looking for building his standing and getting in with some players. And why would he come in without the history of the beef being a part of his story and then take shots for other people? Like, that
Yeah.
doesn't help him. Just cut out someone that is not going to necessarily do anything for your game, is probably not going to be in power at any point,
Mhm.
or really trying to go for power. Like, I truly think that that is what he would probably try to do, which is hilarious.
And even more so, you could lose Christine while saving somebody and getting some allegiance from someone else you don't have that with currently. So
Right.
let's say
Yeah.
that is McLean and Christine in the bottom two. Do Jack a solid, save his girl, or maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
Jack and Christine in the bottom two. Jack is right there, jugular exposed, but maybe that's Derek's problem, not yours.
Yeah.
And so now you have Jack who could win, McLean who could win, Brett who could win, all looking at Derek still, and there's no world that they're going to come after you because you saved them. Derek,
Mm-hmm.
also, you just did Derek a favor this round by doing exactly what he asked you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he should not be targeting you. You won't target him either. You are in the perfect spot to start picking out some of these middle pieces. If you can't get Christine out, Christine is the cleanest hit you can take. You take
Yeah.
Christine out, I think nobody cares. You could take out Katherine, and I think nobody would care. I think people would
Even
be
a
upset.
Jordan
Even
going,
Jordan,
like,
Jordan
yeah.
going. The only thing you could do to really piss somebody off in that spot is go after Frank or Alyssa, because you got
Right.
to take both of them out at the same time.
Which I think brings me to the last thing that I kind of wanted to discuss, because obviously we've got these different factions, and I think that we still need to discuss the fact that whether it was fake or not, Jack used Frank and Alyssa as the example of, why are we going at each other
Mhm.
when the tightest pair in the house is these two? And we've heard a lot of people acknowledge that Frank especially has the social skills and the social game that is truly dangerous in a game like this. How
Mhm.
long before somebody truly, makes a difference by saying, what are we doing? Why? Like, yes, we know, okay, this person's going to pick this person, that is the clearest bond. Like, they're not trying to hide it. They're like, we've got Frank saying, obviously I'm saving Alyssa. Like, I just wonder, at what point do these two sides, depending on if anyone else takes a hit here, starts to turn and say, okay, we're basically just going to take each other out, and these are the people that are going to benefit from it, and we're handing them the game. Why don't we just ceasefire for 1 week or whatever, and let's get on board with weakening the middle here, and the two strongest middle players are Frank and Alyssa. I'd hate to see it because I love them, I think they're great,
Mhm.
but Jack said it for a reason. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but Jack lying. Here's how
But
I see this.
it's a lie that's like kind of true though,
It's a
right?
lie
Like,
with some truth to it, but here's the
yeah.
biggest part of that lie. You are positing that Frank and Alyssa are closer than Jack and McLean. And as somebody with eyes, everybody in that house should be able to say, no, that is not necessarily the case, because McLean is kissing on you, boy, and you kissing on her. So that,
But
like,
I
I
think that
cannot.
that's mutual. I think that Frank and Alyssa love each other and will die for each other more mutually
I
than
don't.
even Jack and
Mm-mm.
McLean.
I
I
think
think it's
maybe Jack.
grown.
Yeah, I think maybe Jack might throw McLean to the wolves, but
That's what I'm
McLean
saying.
is.
I think that it's like
Yeah,
mutual, like they strongly are so tied to each other, whereas like
M-
it's a little one-sided. Not
McLean
completely.
might quit the game to save Jack.
Right.
Frank not quitting the game to
That's
save
true.
Alyssa and vice
But that makes
versa.
them more dangerous.
I
Like,
think I think so. I think it makes them as a pair more dangerous, but I don't think that you can like. I think the messenger is wrong. I think Jack cannot say this because Jack is
yeah.
the other person
Oh,
with the
he can't.
tightest two alliance in here. So it's like,
Yes.
yeah, that's why I said that. Like he's lying. There's some
Yeah.
truth to it in that that's a strong pair. But here's the thing: if you got Jack and McClain over there kissing on each other, and you look at Frank and Alyssa and say that's the bigger threat. If you go after Frank or Alyssa, whoever survives that is going to wherever the opposite of wherever you were doing. They're going right over there to Jack and McClain. If you go after that pair, that the remaining person is going to die trying to take you out of the game, and they're going to go align with a pair that is a type pair. Whereas Jack cannot just go to Frank and Alyssa. He's still Jack. I think that like if you leave McClain in the game, no disrespect again, but what is she going to do? You know what I'm saying? Like she can't go anywhere. So I think that the problem is McClain scoring is fine. Frank and Alyssa scoring, you don't want those problems. That's like a late stage removal. You got to do that with surgical precision.
Well, I also just think like it would be complicated to accomplish it because Frank and Alyssa are pretty consistently like early mid saves, right? Like and so I also think that they have, by being good social players and not really having any enemies in the house, like they by design have enough people that even if they're not their first save, they're willing to save them over other people. And so it obviously depends on like who's the snake, if they're trying to get this to happen, how they can make it happen. But like you have to make sure everything goes perfectly to even get to a situation where you could even take one of them out. And that would rely on like having enough people trusting each other to be like, this is the plan, this is not bullshit, we're working together, this is the ultimate aim, we have to run it this way. But the problem is that everyone else has done each other dirty enough or don't have enough of a working relationship history for that to feel possible. So are we working towards an inevitable Frankie win, an inevitable, like, I don't know.
I think that they are dangerous and that they're going to go far, but for the very reason that you outlined, it's that we don't trust each other enough to not shoot at each other. You know, like that's the problem. That's why they're so insulated. They're so insulated because the bros are never going to turn on them because they always have to be shooting at Derek. Derek is never going to turn on them because he doesn't want one more person to join the bros. He always needs to be shooting at the bros. Until you get McClain out of the game, Jack is not worried about you. Like McClain, even if McClain goes, Jack's target is not going to then shift to Frank and Alyssa. But I don't think it ever shifts it with both of them in the game. I think that's why you need to take one of them out. I think that as long as both of them are in the game, they're too big of a target along with Brett. It needs to be, okay, I separated one of you, and now we can focus on this other pair. But as long as like they're like a meat shield in the house, really, for Frank and Alyssa. I mean, it really is really incredible because I think the moment one of them goes, that opens up the game to where we can shoot at Frank and Alyssa. But prior to that, no. Because why am I going to let this man and his girlfriend win the challenge and then come for me if I'm Derek, you know, or if I'm Katherine, you know, I'm like, nah, we got to keep aiming at them. And then I can aim back to these nice, sweet people who would never come for me. And that's Frank and Alyssa.
That's why, you know, the version of tonight's events where the snake chain ends up with McClain and Jordan in the bottom, and McClain goes out here, could have made some interesting moves forward. But it was not meant to be, I guess.
I think that would have been best case scenario for a lot of people, but they probably couldn't see it at the time. I mean, we're talking it through like this and we are barely getting to the bottom of it. But I think that like if he goes, I think that does loosen Jack up a little bit. I think you can always say Brett and Devonte are two. Devonte even has Amanda at that point. If that is how it plays out, Jack looks a lot less threatening at that point. And so maybe he's the one where you're like, look, maybe me.
Right, that's a blessing in disguise for Jack,
right?
I think, really.
Right, exactly. Like it's kind of like what happened was we ended up with Brett in that spot where Brett is now the one like, okay, now that I'm off
Oh yeah.
my, lost my side chick, I can do what I need to do. I can move around a little bit. Maybe Derek's my next person. That would have looked really good for Jack at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now we have to assume that Brett is going to take a shot. And Brett, of all the people we named, he would be another one that could look at Frank and Alyssa and say,
Yeah.
hey, what's this about?
Because I don't know enough about who Brett is, because he hasn't really been
Exactly.
highlighted a ton until this episode.
But we know
And
who he
so
won't target. We know he won't
you
target
won't target
Jack,
Derek.
McClain, or Derek. So
Yeah.
he's not in the war. He's now outside of it, and so now he can start to goat hunt. He can start to go in and knock out those people in the middle. And if he gets power, he should definitely be looking at Frank, Alyssa, or Katherine.
Yeah, that's a real wild card snake. Imagining what Brett does is very
Ooh.
interesting.
And on top of all of that, we didn't get the reveal at the end, but
Oh
our
yeah, I want to
boy,
ask.
our boy Devonte is leaving the game a man scorned. So he could
Yeah,
go
so what
out
do you think?
potentially being like, let me hinder somebody. But what if he just gives Brett, his boy, an advantage? We could very much see the power shift into Brett's hand, and maybe we're talking about Frank and Alyssa or Katherine being in danger.
Do we even think that it's a 100% lock that if Devonte were to choose an advantage that he give it to Brett? I think
Yeah,
that there's not I think that it's possible he still even gives it to Jack. I
no.
think that he sees that besides him, Jack was the most in trouble there, and that, it Jack is better served. I I wonder how much he thinks, like, even though it's not Brett's fault that this is what happens to him here, that it was because he saved Brett that that all of this, ends up being that he goes out here. Like, I, I don't know for sure that if Devonte is doling out an advantage here, that it's like 100% definitely going to be for Brett.
I would like to make a wager because
Okay.
I think so. I think it's 100.
Okay.
Well, pause.
Okay.
There's layers to this.
What
If
percentage do you think
yeah,
is a disadvantage, and who?
I think the disadvantage always goes to Katherine.
Catherine?
I think
Yeah.
I think it,
Yeah.
yeah, I
He
think
feels
she did
burned.
enough to where I'm like, girl, what?
Yeah.
Now
She
if
promised.
he
She swore on her
if he's
parents,
being a
who are
team player,
criminals and cops.
yeah,
Sorry.
if he wants Jack to succeed, I think he maybe hinders Derek.
Hmm.
But if he's gonna help somebody, I think it's 100% Brett. I don't even think it's a question. I think that Brett has no more ties in the game, except for this tenuous thing with Derek that he's hoping will pay off. And it's like, that's your boy. You've been saving him since day one, and you put your game on the line, essentially getting voted out this round because of your move you made to save Brett. Why stop now?
Yeah.
It's like Pastor Jacob. Like the whole time he's like, I spread love, I spread love, I spread love. And we're like, well, maybe he'll give a disadvantage. Like, no, there's no way he's gonna give a disadvantage. I feel like it would be almost abnormal to like what we know about Devonte if he were to not give this to Brett. Now, if he were to hinder Katherine, I think that would be interesting. I think
What
hindering
about
Derek
Derek?
is I think hindering Derek is less interesting.
Unless you really feel like the best way you can help your boys is
Is to
to
hinder
make
him,
sure that
yeah.
Derek doesn't get power again, and
I don't think
also
it's a bad move. I just think it's less
he took you
interesting.
out
Yeah.
essentially, like,
I just think
he
it's
took
I
you
just think it's
out.
boring. I just think it's
Yeah,
boring. That's all. Like boo, boo,
yeah,
that's boring. Lame, lame, lame.
yeah. Okay,
You
well,
wanna do a sexy move? Hinder Amanda. See if you got it in you.
yeah, I mean, like, that's true petty. I really, would be interested to see what really would have happened if Devonte stays in the game, and perhaps like Jack or Brett ultimately get taken out here. Um what would his relationship be like with Amanda? Because when they realized, like, okay, Amanda didn't pick you, Devonte, she picked her side, we see Jack turn to Devonte, and I think that this is the point where Jack still believes that he's the one that's going to go here, and says, you got to take her out next, dude. And
Mhm.
Devonte says she's done. And so it was like this, like, hey, she screwed us. you thought this, what you thought you were working this girl, she's working you. You got to get rid of her in my name. I would have loved to see how Devonte really navigated that, and it's a shame we'll never get to see it. I do think that if he's going to dole out a disadvantage, it's probably not going to be on Amanda. I think that it's way more likely to be Derek or Katherine here. But what percentage do you think it's an advantage versus a disadvantage?
I
How do you
don't
think
know.
Devonte plays this?
I think he's a disadvantage. He's so aggressive. He's such an aggressive gamer. That's
Yeah,
why I've been impressed with him this whole time, because Devonte got an alliance. He is working a
not
showmance.
passive.
He's
Yeah.
he's not passive at all. He's
Mhm.
when he's like, I'm not taking this deal. It's dumb. Like, he was very much an aggressive player,
Yeah.
but he put himself at the forefront, and that's why he took his L. Because he
Mhm.
became the ire of somebody, or the source of someone's ire.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's going to deviate from that. And I think this is an aggressive move towards somebody, and the show led me to believe it's Katherine. I think that Derek might be who you actually should disadvantage, but I
Yeah.
think that if you're ever going to get Katherine to pay for the way she straight lied to your face, I mean,
Mhm.
this lady like pinky promised and everything. Like, so you're like, she swore on her. Did she swear on her
Her
parents?
parent her
Yeah,
her her cop convict parents.
right. You do all of that, and you think I'm not
Yeah.
finna come after you? I'm gonna get. I'm
Mm.
leaving here with something. At least look, Petty Chappell has clocked in. If he does not hinder Katherine here, if he's not seeing the disadvantage of Katherine, I'm judging him.
Yeah. Well, I'm very interested to see how it turns out, because I felt very, very sure about what Pastor Jacob was going to do. I felt like it was like, pretty much a lock.
100%.
He was going to give the advantage to Derek, and that is what happened. But this one, it feels a little bit more up in the air.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear from our lovely listeners what you think Devonte is going to do. Is it going to be a disadvantage on who? Is it going to be an advantage on who? Because I still stand that it's not a 100% lock for Brett, even if it is an advantage. I think that there's a non-zero chance that he feels like Jack needs more help in terms of just like to get power. Like
Lame.
he's in a better place to get power than Brett.
Lame.
But listen,
Lame.
just because it's lame doesn't mean that that's not what he's gonna
I
do. So
don't
I want to
disagree.
hear
I think,
what people
yeah, I
think
think
will
I
happen.
look, I'm not saying it's not an option. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, boo, I don't like it.
Boo,
Do the
tomato,
thing.
tomato.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do the
Yeah.
thing. This is not the thing.
Yeah.
Do the
I
thing.
want to see what the disadvantages look like,
Yeah,
because,
me too.
okay, we talked a lot about this in the last podcast, but we're like, once they see what the thing is and how much it helps, how much of a factor is that going to be in the game? Well, Derek got
Yeah.
an advantage and he immediately becomes the next snake. That's only one sample, but
Mm-hmm.
that will at least have some bearing on the decisions that the future eliminated players make and deciding what to do. I'd like to see what the disadvantage is and how it impacts the game. So I think that would be fun if he does decide to disadvantage someone. But we
Yeah.
will have to wait until next week to find out.
Yeah.
And
At
I
least it's
assume
only a
next
week.
week. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
a
a
week,
week.
a
We
week,
don't have to
a
wait
week,
another 2 weeks. It's
a
just 1
week.
week this time.
Yes.
Anything
Thank y'all
else,
for
Chappell,
hanging with
that
us.
we yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Nope. This was fun.
Okay.
Talked it through.
This is fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
as we do.
Uh, we will see. But yeah, I think our winner pick of Amanda is looking okay. I think Frank
Yeah.
or Alyssa would be a good pick, but I don't
Mhm.
know if anybody else is able to squeeze this one out. Maybe Jack.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Maybe.
mean, it's hard to say. It really depends on how long this Derek versus the Bros war wages on, and how many casualties there are to come, because I don't know. I think that if Derek gets power again, I don't know. He's got a good relationship with Brett. He's probably going to take a shot at Jack unless they broker up some other kind of deal. I think that things could be a lot more open than we think, given the way things have gone here. But very interested to see where it goes. Obviously, we have no idea how the end game looks for this, so we'll just see where things go. Are we going to get another crate?
I hope not. There's only 5
I hope not
episodes
too, because
left.
that would just be like what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You know, Mayor John barely has a chance in this game, and Christine is dead in the water.
De-
I
Devonte
can't see a
got
situation.
Devonte got back in his crate. Do they always get back in the crate?
They do, yes.
Okay, I don't know
Yeah.
why it just stood out to me this time. I was
I
like,
think
Devonte.
that we didn't see Jacob get into his crate because that was where the twist was revealed, that he would be able to give an advantage or a disadvantage. So I don't know that we saw Jacob get into his crate, but I do recall seeing the other eliminated people get into their crates.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see who's next to hop in the crate. So we will be back next week with our episode 6 recap as we continue with our snake coverage. And we will also have an exit interview coming up tomorrow with our friend Devonte, and we'll have to
Yes.
ask him, you know, he's got burned by a couple people here. What stings the most? And yeah, just ask about some of the things that led us to where we're at here. So be sure to check that out. Chappell, what else is going on with you in the meantime?
Nothing much. You can catch me talking about the slop every week with Rob here on We Know Reality TV, but behind the paywall because it gets
Yeah,
sloppy and everybody can't be privy to all of that.
but
So
it's
check
worth
that
it.
out. Yeah, the Big Brother coverage
We
is
love the
great
slop.
behind the paywall. I'll just say that.
Mhm.
Next week we have a special guest, a sick nasty guest, allegedly. We'll see. And so
Ooh.
fingers crossed, we don't know, but we'll
Okay.
see. And then you can catch me also talking about Netflix shows on the Nothing But Netflix podcast, nothingbutpod.com. If you've been watching Building the Band, tune in because we're going to have a whole recap about that show coming to Nothing But Netflix this week. And then over on Recap Kickback, my podcast where I talk about whatever I want to talk about, we're talking about Flavor of Love live on YouTube every week. And I'm in negotiations with Jenny Autumn to see if one day she will come on the podcast too.
Negotiations.
Yeah, we're trying to get Jenny on, y'all. And so
You don't have to
let's
negotiate with me too.
yeah,
It's hard.
let's see what that looks like. But come check it out. Chantel is watching it for the first time ever. Jenny will be watching it for the first time too. So I'm dying to get her takes when we get her
Fully.
on. And then you know, make sure you subscribe to Recap Kickback on YouTube, youtube.com/@Recap Kickback for my takes on that.
Well, Chappelle, as always, I'm so grateful that you have time for us over here on the Snake with such a big, heavy podcasting load. Make sure to check out everything Chappelle has mentioned here because he truly is the GOAT. And yeah, what?
I
Not
said
that
that's a
kind of
different
GOAT.
show. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That is another show that we have covered together. We're just adding to our repertoire here. Different animals, goats, snakes. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
things are on Fox. That's also an animal.
Also, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I have not been doing much else. Hopping into some Big Brother 27 coverage. I was on the recap on the first elimination. And looking forward to seeing where this BB 27 season goes because it's been fun so far. Follow me on social media at Jenny Autumn. And again, thanks everyone for coming around and staying in the snake coverage with us. And we'll be back next week with episode 6 recap. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.